Deborah had to have surgery.
I had hip surgery in November of 2024.
Her United Healthcare nurse, Crystal, checked on her.
We do a routine call after surgery, and I could tell that she was struggling.
Deborah needed help.
My infection markers were through the roof.
And Crystal knew what to do.
I called the hospital and said she's coming in.
And got Deborah the help she needed.
Crystal and United Healthcare saved my life.
Hear more stories like Deborah's at uhc.com. Benefits, features, and/or devices vary by plan area. Limitation and exclusions apply.
The Rev and The Rabbi. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Good morning. I'm Rabbi Joseph Potasnik.
And I'm Reverend A.R. Bernard.
Reverend, I walked to the studio today, and it was life-threatening. One, you have people on their cell phones looking down, walking straight ahead. You're crossing the street. You got bikes coming from either direction. You take your life in your hands. Just walking or crossing. I mean, it's crazy. I don't remember anything as unregulated. I mean, we hear we're going to do more about it, but nothing is done about it. Well, the people on the cell phones, I don't know what you do, but they don't pay attention. I saw someone crossing the street the other day, looking at the cell phone, tripped, glasses fell, person fell, all because they had to be on that phone. They couldn't look away, and this addiction to cell phones is pervasive.
Well, that's an unfortunate thing. You know, I take the train in and everybody's face is buried in their phone, for the whole ride. And here's an interesting picture, an image. You're at the dinner table. And the cell phones are out, and people are texting each other right at the table.
You know, I was talking to a dad, two teenagers, and he was telling me they're in the backseat of the car and they're texting each other in the backseat of the car, not to others, but to one another. Texting has become the norm for young people. Anyway, I don't know what we do about it, but
Well, I'll tell you, Rabbi, everything is moving towards a device. That phone in our hands is more than a telephone. It is a device, personal assistant. I mean, it's everything. It's a communication device. And I was reading about a evangelical missions group in Africa. And these people are dealing with running water, etc. But they have cell phones.
yeah.
And they're finding ways of trying to connect people in these rural, in the rural areas. Of course, in the cities, they're doing well, but in rural areas, the connection is tough. And that's a mission field. How about that?
Have you ever lost your cell phone?
Once.
And it is, it is so, what's the
I
word?
lost myself.
Debilitating, right? Debilitating, because you say, oh my God, how will I continue without my cell phone? My whole life is on that phone.
Information. Yeah, information. But, they were talking about in the New York City public schools. We have the largest public school system in the country, close to 1 million students. And they're talking about removing the cell phones, not allowing cell phones in the classroom while they're in school. That's a big move.
Yeah, and they're doing it.
Remember, we had the chancellor.
Yep.
Yeah, we had the chancellor at one of our Commission of Religious Leaders meetings, and she talked about that, and the chancellor before her talked about it. What are your thoughts?
We were able to live meaningful lives pre-cell phone. We have the Sabbath, no cell phone, and somehow we get through it. And I think we over-exaggerate the importance of that phone as if we can't make a move, as if we can't in any way live lives normally without looking at the phone, without getting on the phone. That's the highest priority today, is having that phone in front of you and being, addicted to it.
And we get lazy because you and I remember when we had to remember a bunch of telephone numbers.
Not only numbers,
Now
letters,
you don't think about
Knickerbocker 3. Boy, it wasn't just the numbers. I told you, I mentioned to my son one day years ago when we didn't have remote control. He says, "Do you mean that you actually had to get up and change the station?" Yeah, like what a hard concept to accept today for young people. But it's a changing world, and that, of course, begs the question in the world of faith, in our in our respective fields, social media has to be a component, because if people are getting their information from social media and we're not connected to it, we're losing out. We're not, Go ahead.
You hit a good point, what you said. If then, if that's the world in which we live, then we've got to be connected to it. And often we are forced into things that we would not ordinarily engage in because we understand the problems with it. And yet it becomes normalized, and the church is forced into it. There were times when we didn't have bands and musical instruments. There
Right.
were times when we didn't have microphones, we didn't have lights, we didn't have cameras, we didn't have live streaming. But the reality is, we often have to take the message of faith to where the people are experiencing life and speak into those experiences,
So,
like social media. What are your thoughts?
so first of all, in the traditional Jewish world, you're not connected to devices on the Sabbath. However, during the week, there are many programs where people can learn more about tradition. I'll give you an example. We have what's called in Hebrew Daf Yomi, which is the daily page. It's one page of the Talmud that is, you can obtain it on a program. It's available. And every day you study one page of the Talmud. It'll take you 7 years to complete the entire Talmud. But imagine you get up each day, and I have friends who do this, and I've done sometimes. You get up each day and you say, I got to learn another page today. And in a way, you're elevating the use of the phone for something very meaningful, not for some of the nonsense that people want to see.
But isn't that what we're supposed to do? Sorry for cutting you off,
You
but
know,
isn't that what we're supposed to do as the faith community, to take these instruments, these advancements in civilization, technology, knowledge, etc., and redeem it, put it to moral use, put it to transcendent use? I mean, in our churches, ministries, and individual believers also, they use social media to share sermons, testimonies, prayers, and scripture. And the reach, Pat Rabbi, is unimaginable in past generations. Evangelism and discipleship happen digitally now through live stream services, Bible studies on Zoom, Instagram devotionals. I mean, you name it, it's out on those platforms. So it's really a new marketplace for the witness of our faith.
you remember during the COVID crisis, people feared disconnection. They were not going to be able to meet with one another face to face. And all of a sudden, Zoom became operative. We didn't know what Zoom was before COVID. And all of a sudden, we're now having all of these conversations on Zoom. So devices can be can be a blessing, can be a curse. If you look at the portion of the Bible that we read, it says, I give you a choice. It doesn't say life or death. I give you life and death, which means it's interesting that it's the and not or, because you can use that device. It's a hybrid. It can be used for something to elevate life. It can be used for something to degrade life. But thankfully, if people are going to use their devices for a host of reasons, why shouldn't we be there to say, listen to us, look at what we have to offer? Because how was you going to reach them? We were talking to a very important political candidate recently, and I think you brought up the point that if all you're going to do is have TV ads, you're not going to reach the people you need to reach. There's got to have a social media campaign. So we have to rethink. And young people today, the young seminarians coming out, they're adept at this. It's getting the older guys to say, hey, you can't just get up there and preach on the pulpit for people who are not sitting there. And the only way you're going to reach them is through a device. That's why you and I, Instagram and Twitter and all of those things, but we're not on there. We don't sing on it. Well, maybe you do. I've heard you sing. But
Wait.
Yeah. No, you have a good voice. I clear the room when I start singing. But it's invaluable for many people. I know a doctor here in Manhattan And before he goes to his practice, he gets on and he studies the portion of the week. He studies a page of the Talmud, and now he's ready to see his patients. And I think, what a noble way to begin your day. It's not just going to the gym, right? It's also exercising your mind.
And look, before COVID, the pandemic, every we moved a certain way, but then when COVID came, it became essential. Churches that couldn't gather physically found continuity through digital presence, live streaming. We did. We were able to continue our spiritual community, our faith community, by virtue of live streaming and digital Bible studies and Zoom. And for, gosh, a good 18 months, man, while the church doors were closed, we actually grew, interestingly enough.
Yeah.
And those churches, houses of worship who were not prepared technologically, many of them failed, Rabbi.
Yeah. And of course, as we've often said, you have to live with some degree of moderation. And while the device, whatever you're using, is of utmost importance, it can't be the sole substance, the sum total of your existence. You got to be able to talk to people. And I find one of the challenges, those who are texting all the time, those who are listening to some programs online all the time, don't develop the necessary social skills speaking face to face.
Yeah, yeah. But let's explore something while we're on this subject matter, because you hit a vein here, Rabbi.
Right.
And
You know what? We're going to come back. We're getting a notification here. There's a break. We got a break. And we'll come back with more the Rev and the Rabbi.
More of the Rev and the Rabbi right here on Red Apple Radio Network. Stay tuned.
The Rev and the Rabbi on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? Well, with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills. Wait, did I say job title yet? Get started today and see how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Get started at linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, it's Paris. You know I love sparkly things, right? Like stars. Duh. And thanks to Hilton and AutoCamp, I just slept under them. Picture me, serving looks by the fire outside my luxurious Airstream, making s'mores with the kids, while a national park is our backdrop. The great outdoors meets Hilton hospitality. That's hot. Explore all the new ways to stay at Hilton.com. Hilton for the stay.
This episode is sponsored by Friskies, who would like to tell your cats hi. Now, if that didn't get your cat's attention, there is one thing that always does the trick. Just pour some Friskies crunchy food in the bowl and you'll hear those paws come running. Works every time. With so many Friskies choices, you can always bring your cats running from their secret napping spots. There's always more to explore. See for yourself at friskies.com or visit your local store.
Mint is still $15 a month for premium wireless. And if you haven't made the switch yet, here are 15 reasons why you should. 1, it's $15 a month. 2, seriously, it's $15 a month. 3, no big contrast. 4, I use it. 5, my mom uses it. Are you playing me off? That's what's happening, right? Okay, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, $15 per month equivalent required. New customer offer first 3 months only. Then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
The Rev and the Rabbi. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back. I'm Rabbi Joseph Potasnik.
And I'm Reverend A.R. Bernard. So, Rabbi, before the break, I was about to ask you another question around this subject of social media. The democratization of voice. In other words, before, only clergy or trained leaders had a platform. Now, anyone with a phone can share spiritual reflections, critique theology, gather followers, opine on moral and biblical subject matter, religious subject matter. Is that good or bad?
You have to weigh the pluses and the minuses. Look, you and I were talking before we went on the air about those famous schools of Hillel and Shammai, two great schools of thought that argued. They had over, I think it was 310 arguments. That's what, 6 months of a marriage? But it had 310 arguments. And yet, they have the utmost respect for each other. Their kids married, the other side, so to speak. And what Hillel would do is present Shammai's point of view before presenting his own. He said, look, you just heard what Shammai said. This is the point of view, and this is my point of view. But they did it with respect. I think all of these platforms can be very, very meaningful on one condition, that they're not used to diminish the value of another human being. And what I find, unfortunately, today is this ability to destroy the other, not debate the other, destroy the other, belittle the person without engaging in serious, serious discussion. And I think when you do that, it shows weakness. You don't have the facts. You're not able to argue because you just have to beat the other person up verbally. So if that's what your device is for, if that's what your program is for, you're not doing anybody a favor.
In your commentary, you make a very important point, because when you empower lay voices, it's true, you allow for diverse perspectives, but it blurs the lines of authority. You named two schools of thought led by individuals who were respected. They were respected voices of authority. They knew what they were talking about. They were studied. They were educated, right?
Right.
So they debated, and we enjoyed that debate. But now, with any and everyone having a platform, we lose the idea of, well, which voice is a voice of authority? Because with millennials, and I've found, because I've got a millennial son, and we talk about it, he said, Dad, if the person sounds like they know what they're talking about, if they speak with confidence and they have information, we immediately think, oh, they must know what they're talking about. But that's not necessarily true. A response?
I was talking with a group of rabbis the other day about credentialing. And one of the things we're stringent about at the New York Board of Rabbis is if you want to be a member, you have to have proper credentials. And we do a check on you to make sure that you don't just call yourself rabbi, that you didn't just get some kind of minimal degree somewhere, but you went to school, there was serious study. And I think sometimes we don't do enough of an investigation from people who sound authoritative, but they really don't have the credentialed authority. They just, that's why I've mentioned to you the computer commandos, the people who sit behind computers and just send out all these easy emails. People without credentials. They have a stream of consciousness, and they think it's so important for you to read what they have to say. And that's why I say thank God for that spam button. Thank God for the spam button, because you can just send them into spam. But, we don't spend enough time doing a little bit of a background check on who it is who's presenting, so we know we're getting something that is reliable or something that's totally distorted or has some kind of agenda that, is not being conveyed appropriately.
Yeah. It makes it harder to discern sound teaching from misinformation.
Yeah.
Because everybody is coming across like they're experts, and they will, fire through a series of talking points. They don't give you time to ask the question, well, why is that? Reality, the reality when they present social problems, we don't get that opportunity. So let's talk about formation and deformation, because social media, it can nurture daily rhythms, like we said, of devotion, scriptural reading, like this rabbi who engages in a morning devotional, and then
Right.
he goes about his daily business. It amplifies voices, for justice, for mercy, and aligning faith with action. But it also deforms at the same time. It encourages comparison and performance and superficiality, the insta faith, grab and go faith. When you and I know that, building and nurturing a faith life takes time and discipline. It's not just a slogan or curated images that we see on social media. There is superficiality, as I said earlier, and instead of depth, it can foster spiritual consumerism.
I've heard people quote phrases without fully understanding them. For example, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, right? And I think to myself, do you know what that really means? Do you ever bother to look at a commentary? And they use it, right? They just use it to justify whatever their point of view is. And very often it's an angry point of view. We got to get even because eye for an eye and tooth for tooth. And when you look at the commentaries, it spoke about compensation on the value of an eye, compensation on the value. If you injured someone and the person was a jeweler, obviously the loss of an eye or a serious injury to the eye had to be taken into consideration when you were adjusting the compensation. How do you try to make the person whole? What are the damages you have to pay? But some people just throw these phrases around, the chosen people. I hear that the chosen, what does that mean? What does it mean, the chosen people? It means you're chosen for a certain purpose. Not that you're superior, not that you're better than anybody else. We'd like to think that all of our faith communities, we're chosen for with certain moral examples that they could convey to the world. But people, throw these things around without knowledge, without basis, and all of a sudden you have all kinds of ignorance being perpetuated.
Yeah, and it's created a sort of a spiritual celebrity culture, which we're celebrity obsessed in our culture. So it's easy for someone to become what is called an influencer on social media, and that's someone who has built a significant following, on platforms like Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, the others, and they use that following to shape opinions, behaviors, consumer choices. Influencers is a whole new terminology we never heard of before, and they're called influencers because their content, their lifestyle, their expertise, they persuade others in directions that are sometimes ideological, around politics, around faith, and it creates a problem. Is that good or bad, Rabbi?
Well, so influencers, what are the credentials? They have a lot of friends, right? A lot of people follow them.
Follows, yeah.
Right? It's following. It's not based upon, look at your resume. I want to follow you because you have acquired the following areas of expertise. It's all about how many people, how many friends do I have? I love when they call them friends. Like these people. Well, you communicate with them online, but is that what a friend is really about? So I leave you with this thought. We are called, Jews are called, and I think it's true for other tribes, we're the people of the book, right? Well, today we don't deal with the book, we deal with the tweet. Right?
We're people of the tweet.
People of the tweet. So how does one go from the book to the tweet? If you have to have a sound bite, if you have to convey something in 60 seconds, and your sermon, your message is 20 minutes or more, how do you compete with that? How do you get the attention of young people who don't have the attention span of 20, 25 minutes? But tell it to me in 6. Give me the abridged version.
Right. Give me give me grab and go faith.
Grab and go. Tell me the 10 Commandments. All right, give me the Reader's Digest version of it. Don't give me
exactly.
Right, don't give me with the commentary. And that's where the conflict is. And how do we compete with that?
So how long is your sermon?
I try to go 18 to 20 minutes. When I hear snoring, that's the time to turn off. No, but you know what? I find.
Wait, 18 to 20 minutes? Really?
Yeah.
How long is the whole service?
The service 2.5 hours with the singing.
And wait, out of 2.5 hours?
Well, no, I'm sorry. That's the sermon. But I also intersperse thoughts about the portion as we read the Torah, thoughts about that. So you add another 20 minutes. So now we're talking 40 minutes.
Okay.
All right?
Okay. So about 40 minutes with discussion in Scripture.
Right. So let me say to you, as one who's heard you preach, you are a master communicator. master. And one of the things I find in listening to you, and I hope it's true for many of us, is the way to overcome the tweet is to present something and people say, I want to hear more. That is so important for me to know, and I want to know more about the subject. That to me is the answer, not to just give some kind of rote message or some boring information. You're going to lose them. Then even a minute is too long. But that's what we're up against today, is to offset the instant religion with informative religion.
Yeah, and in seminary training, there is what is called the homiletic, the art of preaching. You and I have talked about, even putting together something like that to discuss. And thank you for your kind words. I appreciate that over my sermons. But, can you imagine having to hit 52 home runs a year?
You can't.
At least.
By the way, you can't.
At least.
You can't. And we are our strongest self-critics. We know when it wasn't what we wanted it to be. But at least you go for the 52, and hopefully you hit, a good number of them, and the others maybe a triples or doubles. Rev, we come to the end of the segment. And
wait a minute.
Yeah.
What's happening today? Is this Fast Sunday that we're flying through?
I think because we're engaged in this kind of back and forth discussion, it's the same thing. Give me more when it's interesting. Give me less when it's boring.
Yeah. So are we going to be back with more?
We are.
Of the Rev and the Rabbi right here on Red Apple Radio Network.
The Rev and the Rabbi on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Are your business expenses playing hide and seek? With Uber for Business, the small spends that slip through the cracks, like rides and meals, go right where you need them. Because it integrates with leading expense platforms, you can say goodbye to surprise costs, missing dollars, or chasing receipts. Everything's track-downable. Uber for Business. Make small steps that make a big impact. Learn more at uber.com/small steps.
Jif peanut butter. It's that jiffing good, it doesn't really need advertising. So instead, enjoy the calming sounds of the ocean. Jif. Ooh, it's that jiffing good. Get your Jif at Jif.com.
Are you a forward thinker? Then you need an HR and finance platform that thinks like you do. Workday is the AI platform that helps propel your organization, your workforce, and your industry into the future. Workday, moving business forever forward.
As a sports fan, I have to confess, sometimes the game gets kind of boring. That's when I unfold my Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7 and use multi-window viewing on its large screen. Boring game? I'm checking out my fantasy baseball league at the same time. Score still 1-0? I'm replying to emails in the other window, scoring points with the boss. Semifinals finally getting exciting? I'm buying tickets to the finals and booking my flights. Can your phone do that?
The new Galaxy Z Fold 7. Get yours at Samsung.com. The Rev and the Rabbi. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back. I'm Rabbi Joseph Potasnik.
And I'm Reverend A.R. Bernard.
Reverend, I have a colleague who lives not far from Columbus Circle, and she said to a group of us the other day, there was an ugly demonstration, anti-Israel, and all of a sudden there were signs about the Jews and globalize the Intifada, go back to your country, whatever country that is, I don't know, because they don't want Jews in Israel, so I'm not sure where they want us to go. But why can't and of course, when you have this demonstration for Free Palestine, no sign held up said, free the hostages. Nothing about the hostages. Nothing about the horror of October 7th. It was all anti-Israel. And they were wearing masks. Now, you think back, the Klan used to wear masks.
Whoa.
Right?
Whoa. You're drawing an equivalence there.
I mean, why?
Rabbi,
why should you be able to hide
equivalence.
your face? And by the way, you and I wrote strong letters asking for legislation banning the mask in demonstrations.
Yep. Yep. If you're going to demonstrate, show your face, own it. Don't hide behind a mask. Absolutely, 100%. But have I? You got deep and tough here Sunday morning.
Yeah. Well, because why should people get away with these things? That's one of the big problems I find in society today. You can get away with it. You can go through lights on a bike. You can say ugly things at a demonstration, look to demonize, destroy the other person. You can get away with it. And why should a person who happens to be Jewish feel threatened? I've been to many. It's interesting. I've been to many demonstrations on behalf of hostages. I've been to demonstrations for peace, interfaith demonstrations. I don't see people holding up these signs that say "kill the other person." But here,
Yeah. But you understand, right? It's to evoke emotion. It is to stir a response. It is to point out injustice in a very specific direction. It's there's no nuance, there's no complexity. It's black and white. It's easy. This is it. Enemies, friends, oppressors,
and the oppressed,
oppressed.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. We want to simplify the complex, and we can't do that. It becomes dangerous because it doesn't take into consideration the nuances. Yeah, and if they're going to say something about hostages, it's going to weaken their message.
Isn't that sad?
They're looking to put
that is
a
disgusting,
strong
right?
message.
Where you can't mention hostages being held almost 2 years.
It'll
Those have been
weaken their
killed.
message.
People digging their own graves, and this can't be said. So how serious are you about living with one another? You're not. You don't want to live with the other. You don't want to live in a Jewish state. Then again, we have
that's
somebody.
the idea.
We have somebody running for mayor who can't accept a Jewish state. So
Whoa. You're hitting them hard today, Rabbi. I'm telling
Well,
you.
it's
Ku Klux Klan wearing masks.
Yeah, but
and
this
running
is
for mayor.
But this
in
is
New York
where we are
City.
at. Unless we talk forthrightly and frankly about a subject, we're just going to, sugarcoat it. This is where we're at. And I say once again, you can get away with it. And not only can you get away with it, and you and I have had this discussion before, why is it that some people are so ready to turn their backs on their own people? And again, I've been to demonstrations. I remember going to so many demonstrations for Soviet Jewry when they were, being held in the former Soviet Union. And I found a number of people who were there for other groups wouldn't come to the Soviet Jewry demonstration. Why are you there for everyone else and not there for your own? I don't understand that mentality. You can be there for others, and you can be there for your own.
Yeah, we have that in our community as well. When we talk about civil rights, human rights, and we talk about injustices, inequities in the communities of color, marginalization that are systemic marginalizations of people of color. And we all don't come out. In fact, we're bewildered by how some of us vote.
Yeah.
We're trying to wait a minute.
Yeah.
Do you understand the policies that you're voting for? Yeah, it happens in every community. Unfortunately, Rabbi.
Yeah, you mentioned the word nuance before, and I find that there is a void. We don't speak with nuance. We speak with this dichotomy. It's either red or blue, it's white or black. There's no in between. There is no, right? There's no combination. I'll give you an example. People have all kinds of opinions about President Trump. And here's someone who now has brought together parties and hopefully will bring together Zelensky and Putin. And you get people who dislike Trump to say anything complimentary. Now, that is an accomplishment, right? If you can bring the parties together to have a serious discussion, hopefully bring an end to this ugly conflict, you deserve credit. Columbia University. Columbia has changed its policies when it comes to dealing with anti-Semitism. They're going to be much more stringent. They're going to be enforcing. There's going to be a discipline code that's far more serious than in the past. Now, Trump was able to do that because he threatened them. You're going to lose all this money. And all of a sudden, okay, you convinced us, right? He deserves credit
You know
for
what
that.
it is? He is a perfect example of what happens when you're accomplishing some good things, but your personality and character and baggage undermine, people's ideas and opinions about the good that you're doing. It's unfortunate, but
Well,
he's a double-edged sword.
I think in today's world we want to look at results and who's accomplishing what. I used to think that character and integrity, all those things were essential, but in many cases, you can win elections and people don't look at your entire report card. They want to live with accomplishments. But all I'm saying is in these areas, he's done quite well. And yet I hear people can't give him any credit for it. And I just think that's wrong. Recognize.
Yeah, I know. Look, I have a situation where a dear friend of mine, longtime member of my congregation, Gloria Gaynor, I Will Survive. She's had an incredible career. She's up there. She's worked hard for it, and she's about to be honored by the Kennedy Center. Uh, and there's now outrage around her accepting the honor because it's going to be given by President Trump because he made himself the chairman of the Kennedy Center, so the Kennedy Award. And there are people who are saying that she shouldn't take the award. So, in other words, because you don't like who's giving the award, she's going to throw away what she has spent her whole life working on in terms of her craft to earn this level of respect and honor, because you don't like the person, or because people don't like the person that's giving the award. What do you think about that?
Do you
How do you respond to
remember
that?
when Cardinal Dolan was asked to offer an invocation? Was it, first of all, it was the inauguration, where the first time Trump was inaugurated, maybe the second time as well, at the convention where he was invited, where the Cardinal was invited, he was attacked. And he said, well, if the other side would invite me, I would go as well. I mean, even a prayer for peace, a prayer for, respect for each other. No, don't do it. We'd rather not hear the words, of diversity of thought and unity of spirit. We don't want to hear those words if you're going to that gathering.
So what happened to being light in the darkness? What where
were
do
the
we go
prophets?
with that idea?
I mean, the prophets. Can you imagine? They would just be so debased. How dare you speak? How dare you, in any way talk to these people? You shouldn't talk to these people. How do you effectuate?
If I don't like them, you shouldn't like them. If I'm not with them, you shouldn't be with them. And that's where we are in our society. It's unfortunate. It's no longer based on merit of the individual.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's based upon how I feel about
and you should forego your accomplishment. You don't even look to be recognized for the good you've done because you're standing with someone whom I don't like.
Yeah. That's a tough one. And there are high-profile people who are weighing in on this thing. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out because, the awards are not until the end of the year. It's going to be interesting to see if any other individuals who are being honored will be, forced or influenced in some way to make that kind of a decision.
And what do you accomplish by not going and accepting? Tell me what change you've made.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Rev, we're going to come back. One of the things I want to discuss with you when we come back is you hear the expression, well, everybody's doing it. Why can't I do it? Everybody's doing it. All right?
Wait. Didn't we use that this statement when we were kids? Didn't we
Some
say that?
people use it when they're adults. You ever get stopped? Did you ever get stopped by, an officer on the highway and he says, you're speeding? Well, everybody else is speeding, sir. Not just me. I'm just keeping up with them,
All right. So stay tuned for more of the Rev and the Rabbi. Great conversation this Sunday morning. We'll be right back.
The Rev and the Rabbi on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Gatorade is the #1 proven electrolyte blend designed to hydrate better than water. So you can lose more sweat and raise your game. Gatorade, is it in you?
This episode is brought to you by KPMG. Making an impact is how KPMG helps make the difference. KPMG applies advanced tools and strategic thinking to convert data into actionable knowledge and deliver value by improving performance through transformation, modernizing processes with technology, harnessing the power of data, navigating complex M&A transactions, and enhancing trust among stakeholders. Go to kpmg.us/advisory to learn more. KPMG. Make the difference.
It's back to school season, and Clorox is donating 2 million disinfecting wipes to classrooms across America. Because back to school means things can get a little bit messy. Just ask second grade teacher Mr. Torres.
Put me and just one Clorox wipe on a team? We can take on crayon smudges, sticky fingerprints on every surface, sneezes on the door handle, juice box explosion by the sink, snack crumbs, and don't even get me started on the bathroom passes.
Clorox disinfecting wipes. Teacher's #1 wipe.
Think about it. Bathroom passes.
Clean feels good. Based on unit sales data.
This episode is brought to you by Chevrolet. Chevy certified service technicians are factory trained to fit your vehicle with the tires specifically developed for it. And with our tire price match guarantee, you get the best fit for the best deal. Let us do the work. Available on select eligible tire brands at participating dealers only. Offer ends 12/31/2025. Terms apply. See dealer for complete details. Visit Chevrolet.com/service to learn more.
The Rev and The Rabbi. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back. I'm Rabbi Joe Spatasnik.
And I'm Reverend A.R. Bernard.
So if everybody's doing it, why can't I do it? On the other hand, if I look at the Bible, it says you shouldn't be doing it. Right? So talk about the movie, the movie and the book. The book says one thing, the movie is a whole different story. You get stopped by the cop, everybody's speeding. What am I doing wrong? How do you handle that?
Well, hey, let's define it. When we talk about everybody doing it, yeah, it's a syndrome. It's the tendency to conform to the majority behavior, even if it conflicts with personal values or wisdom. We kind of toss that aside, and because it's the norm, we feel it's okay to conform to the norms. And that's a problem because you should be guided by your values. Those are the guardrails. You should be guided by wisdom. But we engage in herd mentality, which is what it is, right?
I was in a store recently, I think I mentioned to you some time ago, and when the person gave me back some change, see, I didn't use my credit card. I actually gave cash, which is another unusual thing to do today.
You did what?
Right, yeah, cash? Are you kidding? The guy looks at you. You must be an old guy to carry cash with you. No plastic. So anyway, he gave me more than he was supposed to. And I said to him, sir, you made a mistake. You gave me too much. And I returned the extra, and he said, oh, thank you so much. And I thought to myself, well, you're welcome, but you don't have to thank me for being honest. That's what I'm expected to do. But as you just said, that may not be the norm in his eyes, right? But if our parents taught us to, tell the truth, even if it comes with consequences. Stand up, for what you believe is true. Don't just follow. The Bible says, don't follow the majority to do evil things. Don't run after evil. And there are some people who just feel, well, if everybody's doing it, then I can do it. It's like the 10 Commandments become the 10 suggestions,
Yeah.
right? Right. Well, thou shalt not. Now, it's up to you. If others are doing it, don't worry about thou shalt not. This is not the world in which we're supposed to live with according to our faith.
It reflects what psychologists call social proof. And that's a belief that if the majority is doing something, then it must be acceptable. It must be safe. It must be okay. It must be correct. And that's not true. There have been times when, I've faced situations where I've had to go against the majority thought because of my values, because of my beliefs, because of my standards. And they analyze why people fall into it. All right. And a lot of it has to do with this idea of belonging. Because humans, as human beings,
Right.
we're social beings. We want to fit in. We want to avoid being excluded. So conforming feels safer than standing alone. We don't want to stand up for something and stand by ourselves. The millennials call it FOMO, fear of missing out.
Yeah.
When
So
everyone else seems to benefit from a trend, a behavior, opportunity, shortcuts, people fear, If I don't engage, I'll be left behind."
there is a Jewish quarter in Czechoslovakia that has a clock. One side of the clock has Roman numerals, the other side has Hebrew letters. One side of the clock goes clockwise, the other side of the clock goes counterclockwise. Isn't that a statement that there are times in life you have to be ready to go counterclockwise? You have to be able to say, I walk this path because it is a path that is founded on morality, on decency, and I'm not traveling on the other path just to be accepted. Because at the end of the day, if you're just doing something for acceptance, it doesn't have a lasting value. People don't respect you, right? If you just do things because, it's convenient. It's not the way we should look at life. It's tough sometimes, but it's necessary if you consider yourself principled.
And it's dangerous because if we take this idea of everybody's doing it and apply it in the real world, how do we understand things like cheating, academic dishonesty, students, justifying cheating if they believe most
Yeah.
students are doing it. So it must be okay. We've had situations where there was a big blow up in the news about people cutting corners in order to get their kids into Ivy League schools.
Yeah.
And, the investigation showed that it was a normal practice and folks were making money. Is it okay when wrong, dishonesty is normalized, Rabbi?
We often talk about growing up and that report card we received. The first subject parents would often look at was conduct. How did you conduct yourself in the classroom? And in my home, God forbid, God help you. If, you didn't come home. You didn't come home with an A in conduct. How could you behave in a way that you were the clown of the class, or you did things that shortcuts because you wanted to be liked by the other people rather than respected by the other people? It's again, it's this conflict between the faith and what people find is popular, principle and popularity. Right?
Yeah.
And we talk about principle. Being popular should not be the ultimate goal. Being principled should be the ultimate. And hopefully, when you're principled, you do become popular by the people whom you want to respect you, not those who you just think, they're following me and they like me, for some kind of superficial reason.
And that's a challenge for us as faith leaders of faith communities, because we've got to cultivate courage to resist these cultural tides, the trends, everybody's doing it, and model sometimes countercultural ethics, integrity, justice, love. We've got to stand for that kind of stuff, and it's not always difficult. And while we're preaching to the parents, they're wrestling through this with their children, because the children are coming home and saying, well, everybody's doing it.
Well, it's like, remember you have to get your kids the sneakers that everybody else is wearing. You had to get the shirt that everybody else is wearing, the more expensive one, the popular one, because how could you come to class with those, inexpensive sneakers? Everybody will look down on you. Everybody will laugh at you. So the price we pay to be popular is very costly.
Well, Rabbi, I have to check out here because you brought up a very sensitive subject matter. Because my kids will go to me. I say no, I'm not spending that kind of money on sneakers. Absolutely not. And then they go to my wife, and she took them out and bought them.
Well,
what do I say, Rabbi?
Now listen, she's the court of highest jurisdiction. You have to accept that.
That's what it is?
You have to accept that ruling. But parents are. I'll tell you. Let me give you an area where traditional parents are caught sometimes. You have services on the Sabbath. You have soccer on the Sabbath in communities. Baseball on the Sabbath. How do you tell your kid, no, you're not playing baseball today, you're not going to be in the league today because it's the Sabbath, we're going to synagogue? It doesn't make...
That's interesting.
Doesn't make you a popular...
How do you?
Well, some communities said, let's do things on Sunday, which didn't satisfy the other people.
No, that hurts us.
Yeah, it's a...
Saturday, it hurts you guys. Sunday, it hurts us.
Yeah. So this is the wrestling we do.
So are the young people in violation of the Sabbath if in order to participate in sports programs and whatnot? Because a lot of these things are done on weekends, Saturday and Sunday.
It's a big...
what happens?
It's not the spirit of the Sabbath. Sabbath was not created so you can go out there and play ball. But, people find ways around it. Well, let's see. We're not allowed to carry. We can have an area enclosed, so carrying is okay. Let's enclose the field. They try to find loopholes in the law. But it is...
That's human nature.
Right? Again, it's going counterclockwise in a world very often that's going clockwise. Rev, this has been a great discussion today about a host of...
Wait, didn't we have a guest coming? Wait, we're at the end without a guest? We went through the
you
whole
You were my guest. I was your guest, and I loved every moment of it.
It was fantastic, Rabbi. Always a pleasure spending my Sunday mornings like this with you and an incredible national radio audience. And we hope that you continue to be blessed by the conversations and the guests that you experience right here on the Rev
and the Rabbi.
He got it. He got it this time.
I practiced during the week. Yeah.
Till next time, God bless.
Thanks for listening to the Rev and the Rabbi. You can hear the Rev and the Rabbi Sunday mornings at 7. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?